Hello everyone, welcome to this new series, Spirituality and the Psyche. Now this is a series of videos I'm really looking forward to offering because there is, with the rise and the awakening of more and more people, more is coming to light. The more light we embody, the more things are going to illuminate. Right? The more things are going to illuminate within our psyche, within our emotional body, within our mental body, things that are going to come up to heal, to clear, to cleanse, to release, and to alchemize. And traditionally, there may be many beings that speak of psychology, but to actually bridge psychology and the spirituality aspects, the spiritual teachings, that is the intention I wish to bring forward. And I'm very much looking forward to this first video, which is going to be on ghosting. Ghosting and the toxic side of the boundaries movement. Before we go there, I would like to just put a disclaimer out there. These topics they're big to talk about. They're big to talk about. And they're big to watch, right? They are. Because each one of us on some level have experienced all of these. On some level, we've experienced everything we're going to talk about. And it is my intention that if you stumble across this video, it offers you inspiration and illumination to the aspects of ourself, which perhaps we have not seen. For if you've ever practiced shadow alchemy, and that is healing your shadows, actually healing the fractured parts of yourself, you'll know that those parts hide in our unconscious. They only show up through another. Therefore, we cannot even look for them to see them. We see them usually through another. Until something opens our heart, until we allow the flow of a certain emotion, or an event or an experience breaks open our heart, and that forms a bridge between the consciousnesses, and it welcomes in more love and more self-awareness. I am not a clinical psychologist or a clinical psychiatrist. I am not either of these. Everything that I share will be from what I have learnt, either through my own personal journey, well, always through my own personal journey, or what I've learnt from studying. Because the thing is that there is a lot of regurgitation on the internet. A lot of people out there right now that will watch a video and regurgitate it, watch a video, regurgitate it, and pass it off as their own wisdom. And I'm going to be really upfront and say some of this is not going to be mine specifically. It's going to be things that I have watched, but I found truth and resonance in. And then on top of that, my guides and my team have elaborated further. So also receive this as an invitation to know that it's okay to watch and hear wisdom come through others. For really, as humans, if we recognize what we truly are, we are source energy having this human experience. That means that nothing actually really belongs to us. The wisdom that comes through is, yes, it's moving uniquely through our instrument. Uniquely through our instrument, expressing uniquely in the way that it only can through you or through me or through whomever. But I'm going to be very upfront and say, when I share some of this, yes, the majority of it is going to come from my experience and my interpretation and what my team bring me to put into the words that I choose to use here. But also there will be aspects that I have gleaned from others who are more expert than I. Right? And if I remember their names if and when I repeat something that they've said, that I've gone, I will tell you that this person has said this and it really resonated. I may not remember names. I'm just going to be upfront and say that because I don't remember all the names of videos that I do watch and the amount of time that I spend in this particular topic, because it is something that is very dear to my heart and very aligned with my soul path here. One of the things. So let's get really into it. Let's start off this incredible series. The topic of ghosting. Let's start here. Ghosting is not the same as gaslighting. It's not the same as brick walling. Those will be separate videos. We'll even have a separate videos on boundaries, but we're going to talk a little bit about boundaries today as well. But ghosting is essentially when you are starting or in a relationship with someone, and then without any communication, they just stop contact. They just stop. Without telling you, without any rhyme or reason. It just stops. Now, different psychologists, different psychiatrists, different people who have studied in this area of the mind can come up with many different reasons, and usually the general consensus is if someone ghosts you, the first thing you need to know that it is not about you, it's about them. It's not about you, it's about them. And why this is important is because usually it brings up first and foremost for the individual that's experiencing this, it shakes their belief, it offers a lot of self-doubt, and it questions, it invites the being who's experiencing it to actually gaslight themselves. Once again, gaslighting is going to be a separate video, so look out for that in the near future. But there is always this general consensus that whenever ghosting has occurred, it's not about you receiving the ghosting, it is about the individual doing the ghosting. But what I love is that there are many different trains of thought. Some people go down the whole, the person who is ghosting is a coward and it's fear-based, and I personally don't believe that. I believe on some level, yes, there is fear, but there is fear within all of us. So to me, to say that and to say that's a truth, to me that doesn't resonate, because I don't believe that we'll be able to bring ourselves together as a community in unity consciousness and in love if that's the track that we go on. There are many reasons why someone may ghost, right? And that could be, I remember Teal Swan saying on one of her videos, you know, there might be this aspect of triangulation occurring. So someone may have had an experience or created a belief or a perception about you and shared it with another. So essentially mood setting. You know, this happens a lot. We'll do a couple of videos on triangulation and things like that, and mood setting, but this happens a lot. But in her video, Teal Swan was saying, you know, this is something that happens, is, you know, triangulation may have occurred. I know that when I've experienced ghosting, I found out sometimes that triangulation has occurred, and that doesn't feel great to be on the receiving end of. But at the same time, there is a lesson here, a deep lesson for our own self. Because what tends to happen for if you are someone who has been ghosted a lot in life or had more than one poignant experience, is we start to gaslight ourselves, and we start to go, you know, is it really me? Am I really this bad? And we start to criticize ourselves. We start to punish ourselves. And the first thing that my team bring to me is to say, this is what we must stop here. Because when something on a spiritual level now, when something such as ghosting occurs, it is identifying and illuminating a spectrum that is fractured within you and within them. And they are showing you this. They're showing you this part of yourself. Now, what does that mean? It means that, okay, well, yes, part of us has been ghosted, and that feels rubbish. But there is another part here that is also doing the ghosting on some level, in some capacity. Whether that's within ourselves, within our subtle layers of energy, or whether that's through a different experience in time. The first thing, when I recently experienced something like this, the first thing I remembered, because I started looking and I went, okay, I know this is a lesson for me. I know this is reminding me and showing me of a part of myself that's actually fractured. So I know it's not actually about the other person, because I fully believe that we are all from source, which means that every human, everything even, that I meet, that I see, that I greet, that I have a relationship or that I don't, they are me in a different form. So I personally have this very strong belief that no one actually is ever out to hurt us. It doesn't matter who they are or what is being done. It's a version of me trying to show me something that I'm closing my eyes to. So part of me is ghosting myself because I don't want to see this part. We're going to loop back here because this is a key point that I want to make, but we're going to finish with it more than anything else, because let's just put the pieces in a little bit more on the psychology side and the psyche with the mind. Going back to this video that I saw Teal Swan do, she was saying, it doesn't feel so great if you get ghosted by someone of significance for no other reason other than something like triangulation. But what if something major has happened in that person's life, that person that you love? What if something major has happened? And there is a genuine reason why they just can't reach out to you right now. How often does that happen? I bet more than often, more than you realize. Because something that we were also going to be going into is we all have some level of trauma going on, some level of complex PTSD going on. Right? We all have that on some level with something and some spectrum of emotion and response in our relationships. We all do. Because that's the world that we're in right now. We're in the fourth density, the fourth dimension, and we're moving up to the fifth, right? That's what happens. We have fractured aspects of our energy, right? So it's really interesting because rather than going into a space where we just propagate fear and frustration, which is what often we can end up doing in order to try and heal ourselves, if you're feeling like you are here to help bring unity consciousness, then we have to bring compassion into the story. Now, the mind is not a place that compassion often goes because that's a thing of the heart. So then what part of us is thinking, what part of us is knowing, what part of us is seeing and interpreting? We want to drop it down from the third dimensional psychology and bring it into the heart so it can ascend. We want psychology to ascend here, to become spiritual and heart-based. The heart can think. The heart has its own brain cells, right? Even science proves that now. So why this is interesting is because, okay, first going back to it, yes, it's not specifically about you. There's something going on for this being. But at the flip time, and this is, once again, this is what my team bring to me to help me understand when I've experienced this, is yes, it's not you in that space. You're observing it, you're witnessing it, but whatever is going on in someone else's life is whatever is going on there. You can choose either to be love or to not be love. And that was big. When my team said that, that was big. Because then I realized that, especially, and this is really pertinent, especially if it's someone that you have built a relationship with, I realized that I might not know the whole story. No matter how intimate or how close I am with someone, I might not know the whole story. I might not know what's going on. I might be perceiving from a place of trauma. I might be perceiving from a fragmented aspect of self, which is what happens. If we've experienced any trauma, we look through that lens until that trauma heals. And so I realized in that moment, I was like, wow, so every time that my mind jumps to feeling hurt or feeling broken or feeling punished or anything like that, every time my mind jumps there, I'm recognizing that actually that's not my truth. Because I know what feels true to me is to love. What feels true to me is to choose love, to embody it, to genuinely be happy for whomever it is in front of me, and not hold on to the continuation of a trauma that they didn't even necessarily create or propagate. Right? How often is it that we can jump to the wrong conclusions? We do it all day, every day. And so the realization I came to was that anytime that I'm experiencing ghosting, or what I perceive, now this is the key word, what I perceive to be ghosting, anytime I experience that, I'm jumping to a conclusion here. And I'm, instead of choosing what frequency I want to embody, I'm letting whatever wounded part of me run rampant, rather than inviting that wounded part to step forward so it can be observed by my heart and healed by talking with myself, with my own heart. It's an inner dialogue, an inner conversation. The whole world is a hologram, a reflection of you. Everyone is you. So if everyone is you, then, or if everyone is me, then crikey, no one really actually ever is ghosting me. It's just an invitation. They are offering a service of deep love, really. This is how I choose to see it. Any experience that I have which feels like contrast or challenge is someone offering a deep, deep service of love, because they are bringing me back to myself. We just get to choose whether we walk through the doors of our own heart or not. That's what we get to choose. So first we have to recognize that first we have to recognize what we're thinking, Because if we are thinking thoughts that don't feel good to think, then can we be strong enough to say, that's illusion? That's illusion. Okay, let me get into a space where I can hear and witness my own illusion in order for it to heal. That's big. That's big, you guys. That's really big. Because what it actually offers us is it invites the emotions that we felt that we've previously identified with and become. And instead of becoming them this time, instead of acting and speaking through this fragmented part of self, we go, what emotion are you feeling right now? I'm feeling pushed out. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling isolated. I'm feeling whatever. Unworthy. Go, okay. It's okay that you're feeling that. Okay. We're feeling that. Do we know that that's actually what's happening though? Do we know that what we're perceiving is actually the truth? No. We can't possibly know because we're not them. We can't possibly know. Can I choose to feel something different right now? Can I choose to think something different about this being? Can I choose to zone in on all the wonderful, incredible, funny times that I've had with this other person, with this other being, with whomever? Yeah, I can actually. I can choose to do that. It might be a bit of a jump at first, but I can do that. Why? Because I know that what I think about, I bring about. Why? Because I know that part of being here right now and part of our collective ascension is the mastery of our mind, which means choosing what we choose to think and knowing that reality is created through what we choose to think. How cool is that? Yet it's not as easy, is it? It's not as easy to choose to think something better when lower energy thoughts are trying to move their way out of your body. But that's essentially what is happening, is we're being given this invitation to really release something major. Let it release. Now, we spoke about boundaries here. And this is what's really interesting, is because there's a big movement right now based on this wound, based on this fractured wound. I'm just going to reposition myself here. My cushion's flattened. There we go. This is a major thing that's releasing collectively right now, is, around ghosting and around worthiness. And that was Libra season, really. That's Venus and Libra and all of that, relationships, that was coming up major. And so there's this major theme that was building, and perhaps still is, depending on when you watch this. These videos, of course, are timeless. Watch them whenever. But it's fascinating because, there was this big movement of, set boundaries from your heart and with love. But really, in so doing, we weren't actually setting boundaries with our heart, because boundaries aren't something which we have to set for other people. They are what we set within ourselves. And we do so by choosing how we think. We do so by choosing how we want to feel. They are boundaries that are based in deep devotion to love and to self and to unification of self and to a soul purpose and why you're here. And it's fascinating because in the rise of people feeling the shame that they felt in life and, all these lower things, the rise of this coming up, which is what is happening right now. So many of us still are looking outwards. So many of us have our mood set by another being rather than just having a consistent vibration that we choose to tune into each day. And not just tune into as in go, oh, there it is, but actually be, embody it, become it, show it. And this is the fascinating thing, because in my observation, in my perspective, and in my guidance that I receive, when I observe the sharings of messages around boundaries and boundaries of love, and I feel the vibration underneath it, it is still I need to protect myself. And I go, from what? From who? Because no one has power over us. Everyone is us. Right? So it's just a flipping around of... It's a flipping around of our sight and our gaze. And of course that's not every message. This isn't a blanket rule, and this isn't pinpointed at anyone or anything like that. These videos will never be specific about anyone. They will never be about anyone or anything specifically other than my own inner experience that I'm sharing. Emphasis on the word inner experience. Because if we were to put ourselves in the shoes of someone that's doing the ghosting, for example, one of the reasons could be is that you're overwhelmed. One of the reasons could be is that you've portrayed yourself to be someone or something that actually you don't feel that you are, but you're not with eyes enough open to see that. The integrity isn't there, the alignment within isn't there yet. We can feel like we want to ghost someone when we are afraid that they see us truer than we see ourselves. And it threatens the identity of certain parts of ego, right? So it's interesting because really we don't want to be spreading anything other than compassion for anyone, because compassion and love is what's going to heal the world. Judging and saying that person's a coward, that person's fearful, that person's lying even, that's not going to serve. Fuel on fire doesn't put the fire out, it expands it. So it's really interesting because there are so many ways we can look at it. We can look at it as though the universe is a hologram and everyone is you. Therefore, someone is like a version of you is doing this to yourself to show you something. So therefore, it is a gift. It's a gift from God. It's a gift from Source. We can look at it in law of attraction premise here. We can go, okay, well, what I think about, I bring about. So am I going to choose to think a thought that's not going to bring good feelings? Because if it's not going to bring good feelings, and I'm just maximizing on that, so can I master my mind enough to say, I must be mistaken. I'm going to be offering benefit of the doubt, especially if it's someone that you have built a solid and deep and intimate relationship with, and you know them. You've shared truths and you've shared vulnerabilities. You've felt that heart connection, that deep connection, that pure connection. Then surely it must be a mistake in some way. And that's not to say, oh, gaslight yourself and go, oh, you've misinterpreted the situation. No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying here is, whatever you experienced, you have experienced. But how you then look back on that experience is up to you. You could have a bucket with one apple in. And one person could walk up to that bucket and go, where are all the apples? There's only one here. We have not had a good harvest, clearly. There's scarcity of food. There's not this and this, And someone else could walk up to that bucket and go, wow, an apple. Oh, what a gift. I know it's a silly analogy, but at the same time, perception is everything. Of course, if it is someone that you haven't known for a little while, maybe you've just known them for, a day or two or a date or two or whatever, then yes, that's going to look different. That is going to look different. If someone is moved out of your life, then trust that you've moved them out of your life. The Source version of you has done that, and the Source version of them. Timelines have shifted, and it's in highest good for both. We don't need to assign blame. And this is a big part of it. Now, there's an interesting aspect of this boundaries movement where there is an assignation of blame. Without realizing it, there's an underlying current of blame. I'm going to put a boundary in place and limit my phone time, or limit my whatever, or limit when you can come over or whatever, because I need to put boundaries in place, and this is a boundary and this applies to you. Boundaries are something that we apply to ourselves to show ourselves deeper love. To show ourselves deeper love and to let in the love that is nourishing. To let in love that is nourishing, full stop. To let in love that is nourishing. And to give the opportunity to choose to see as well love which is nourishing. But it starts with ourselves. I wonder how I wonder how each of you, if you've ever experienced this, which I'm sure everyone has. I am sure everyone has. We've been the ghostee as well as the ghoster, and or we've been ghosted, yes, but we've also done the ghosting, probably without realizing. And if someone else has felt that way about, say for example, if someone else has felt that way about me, then for goodness sake, I hope that they give me the benefit of the doubt and have compassion to at least make me aware, right? Because this is how conscious relationships now are going to unfold. We're not going to be charged by what someone says or someone's experience, because it's their experience, they're entitled to it, it's their right. We don't have to take it on, but we can be a good friend or a good family member or a good human and sit and witness to their experience. Wow, I didn't know I made you feel that way. Is there anything I can do to help heal this? This is the era of conscious relationships. Those are starting to grow. It does take practice, and it will bring up emotion, but that's a good thing. And I would love your feedback. I know this video is longer than I was going to go, but I'd love your feedback about how you experienced this video, how you enjoyed it, or whatever thoughts that you may have. Like I say, it's a slightly new version of the Monday musings, slightly different, more refined, more focused version. So let me know, is it too long? Is it too short? Is it helpful? At the end of the day, all there is love. We come from it, we return to it, and we get to choose in every moment, every second, every minute of every day how much of that we let in. And that's a choice only we can make. And others will only mirror to us what we are letting in and where we are blocking ourselves. So the way that I personally see any experience of challenge or contrast, and that is even if I've perceived someone to ghost me, I go, there is something underneath this that is fractured within myself here, that has allowed this to be created and cultivated it even, in order so that I can see it with my eyes that point out, because that's how we're conditioned in this human lifetime. Thank you, source energy. Thank you, whomever else. Thank you, me, through all beings. There is only love. So much love to you. So many blessings. And if you watched to this far, I hope to see you on Saturday the 28th when we go into the Temple of the Sun with Ra for a pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus, and solar plexus ascension and healing and attunement for the lunar eclipse. Bye for now.